Hi, everyone. Sorry, slightly intimidating to be in front of all of you. Hope you're going to forgive my shivering voice. Right, I've got something for you to start. So I'm at 9,000-something followers on Instagram. Where's my Instagram? It's here. With you tonight, right now, we can reach the 10K. It would be amazing, right? So please, go on your iPhones. Don't listen to what I'm saying. Just go on your iPhones and look at the Instagram, Sophie Ebrard. Right, so we're going to start. So on the 6th of January 2010, I became a photographer. Well, at least that's what I was saying to people. You know, when I would meet someone in the street, I would say, "Hi, I'm a photographer." I thought that if I was starting to believe it myself, people would also believe in it. So that's a little bit how it started. But at the beginning, it was really not true. You know, really not true. I didn't even know what f-stop or aperture meant. I know, that's a bit bad. So I went from working in advertising, as you've heard, doing campaigns for big international campaigns like Sunsilk, to a few years later, hanging out with James Cameron in his property in Santa Barbara with his helicopter, shooting Roger Federer in his villa in Switzerland, being in full conversation with him, I don't know what I'm talking about, and shooting underwater campaigns. Oh, yeah, also, that was last month's one of my best personal projects, shooting fit hot guys in Harlem. So, how I ended up being able to shoot 5 really hot guys in Harlem. I said it again. Well, let me tell you a little bit of my story and my background. So, I grew up in a village in France. I'm French. I grew up in the village called Grenoble, and my parents were pilots, so really not really into the art world. I was drawing a lot when I was a kid, and I was also always had a camera, a point-and-shoot camera in hand. But when it came to really deciding what I want to do for a living and going to university, doing an art school didn't really feel like the right fit. So I did a business school and graduated, and shortly after university, I went into advertising. So I started working in really good creative advertising agencies. One of them was BDDP Fils, which was really one of the top agencies. And then I moved on to TBWA in Paris. And then when I moved to London, I worked at Mother. So really good creative agencies, really on the top, working with really creative people and photographers. And I guess that's really what fulfilled me at first. It was even though I missed that creativity that I had in my childhood, in some ways it was still fulfilling me. And I didn't see myself as a creative. So I really carried on. And 10 years later, I had a better position, bigger position for JWD London, working on Sunsilk, launching a campaign in 97 countries, and that was nothing creative at all, and it was all political, and it was really, it was disgusting. It was really not what I wanted to do. I mean, some people are fit for it. Oh, I didn't tell you, I was an account manager. I was not a creative. And so, at some point I was like, you know what, this is not for me. I just have to stop. It was just, I had a breakdown, so I just kind of had to stop. And so I quit my job, and I had a bit of savings on the side, and I thought, what's the worst that can happen, really? So I decided I'm going to just try for 6 months and see how it goes. And so that's how I started to say, I'm a photographer on the 6th of January. I think that was, the start was the start, as everyone starts. But actually, I got really lucky. Sorry, I've got my notes. Where I am. Oh, yes. I got really lucky because 2 months after being a photographer, on the 20th of February, I landed my first campaign for Mother, for Match.com. And at the beginning, it was supposed to be just a behind-the-scene. And it's really easy. I don't know if you've done any behind-the-scenes before, but on the TV commercial, you just have to sit next to the DOP, smile at him, be nice with him, steal all his angles, and you can always ask him for tips because he's really good technically. And then you've got really great pictures. But actually, it didn't turn out like that because Mother asked me to do a real campaign. They were like, no, you can't come on the shoot. The set is too small. So you're going to have to, in 2 days, we're keeping the set, and you're coming with your lighting, with your assistant, with your producer, with your blah, 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 blah. And then I started to panic. I was like, yes, of course, I'll do it. And then I was like, how am I going to do it? I don't even know what lighting means, and I had never shot anything like this, or I had never had a commission in my life. But again, I thought, just take it easy and one step at a time. What's the worst that can happen? So I did it. And I hired a photographer, a friend of mine, to come on the set with me to be my assistant. In fact, he was the photographer, and I was the assistant, and he was mentoring me along the way. And we both speak Spanish, so I was speaking Spanish to him so that nobody could answer that I was panicking and telling him, oh my God, how am I doing this? Not really understanding, opening up, what does that mean, opening up, And then he was like, okay, you've shot too much of this, just move on. I was like, okay, I will. And so, I got really good pictures out of it. Match.com is still in my, I'm going to show you. It's still in my portfolio today. I really love this shot. It's this beautiful girl. And then, I carried on working, and I was really lucky. And I guess, the fact that I had worked in advertising before really helped, because I could understand the market. I could understand how it worked. And so, after maybe 6 more months, I got a campaign for BBH for Vodafone, and then another campaign. And then I thought, I think I need an agent, because at the time, it was just too much for me, and I needed someone who was going to be helping me with production and everything. So I was like, but how do you find an agent? Well, it turns out that I won a competition, and the price for the competition was that you were getting an agent for 2 years. And I met with the agent, and I don't know why, there was something that was not working. She was great, but it felt like the agent was more for students, and I felt like I was kind of past that, and I had already commissioned, and, so I was like, okay, I need to find a real proper agent. So what I did is, I looked up at all the best agencies in London, and I emailed 4 of them, and I got 2 answers. One of them was Wyatt Clark & Jones, who is still my lovely agent today. So I went to see them, and I had a meeting with them, and 2 hours later they said, great, we'll take you on. And so I said, okay, I need to think about it, which is crazy, because I don't know if you've ever tried to find an agent, but it usually takes 3 years. It's not a meeting that you get like in 1 day, but I guess I told them my story, and they kind of liked it. And I was really naive, I had no idea about that. So I found an agent, and I started carrying on shooting, and I shot more commissions. So this is the commissions I've shot with them, and without them, actually. So this is for Stella Artois, for Mother, Abbott Nutrition, Volkswagen, a few different brands. This is a story I shot for HSBC, I talked about it earlier. Adidas, that was a big one. And Rolex that you've seen previously. I think really what I wanted to tell you is that my background in advertising has really been helpful for me for my career. It's really helped me understand the market, and he also gave me a really good eye for what is expected for an image, and he set really high standards. I think being a successful photographer is really something you have to really understand your market and the key, I think being a successful photographer is easy, but being a financially successful photographer is another thing. So this background in advertising really worked. And also there's something that really helped me is that I never did an art school. So when I started shooting, I had very little reference of other photographers. I knew, of course, the photographers that everyone knows, but, I didn't study art, and nobody really pushed me into going into one direction or the other. And so when I started shooting, very, very quickly, I set up my standards, and I really shot exactly what I felt was good and what I wanted to shoot. And I had very little skills in Photoshop, it was really the basics of color balancing. So, and it's really funny because when you see the work that was the very beginning of the work, this is one of my first pictures I shot. It's very similar today. You know, I would not change the colors. I would not do anything. So I think it's, you know, what I'm trying to say is that really, you know, it's about finding your vision, and I think having my vision very quickly really allowed me to have kind of a niche, to be myself, and to create images that really resembled me. And so, you know, it's kind of having a consistency in what you're using. So I shoot film. That's what I do. So I started shooting. Well, this is actually digital, but and this is my son. So I started shooting all my pictures, personal work and commission work in film. So I shoot 35mm and medium format Pentax 6.7. So this is some of my personal work. So there's like a mix of things between current projects and older projects. This is my son again. I guess I started shooting, you know, the people who were around me. You know, there was that kind of familiarity that I was happy with, and you know, I was shooting when I was traveling. This is in Cape Verde. Oh, this is a picture that is not out yet. I've just shot it in Brazil in January. This is one of the very first pictures. I think it's got that style, it's got similarities in terms of tones and colors. You know, for me, shooting film was really the best tool. You really have to find what is your best tool. It's really what what really works for you. You know, if I was to be someone who was doing still life, I would probably shoot digital. But that really works for me. It's my tool, and it makes it really consistent throughout my work. You know, I've got my workflow. And it's actually quite interesting because when I shoot commission work, I always take my digital camera because, you know, people want to see, client, agency, everyone wants to see what you're shooting. But, you know, when I feel like there's something that is happening in the scene, and when I feel like, you know, I've got the shot and something is really, really right, you know, I usually wave at my assistant, and I'm like, film, film, and they kind of know what it means. And then I'm like, I shoot, and I don't need to shoot that many pictures. You know how the tendency you've got when you shoot digital, you've got like, you end up having 2,000 images. It's impossible to edit. But when you shoot film, you know that every time you press the shutter, it's £2. You're like, oops, you know, you save yourself. So, you know, you really frame the shot, and you never have any blinking picture. I don't know if you've realized, but never. And everyone is looking at you, and there's that thing, there's that connection. I mean, I'm not here to pray film, but still, this is something that really works. And it's funny because actually, the last commission I did for Lindeman's, we shot all over the world, and there was 4 images that they wanted to take in the end, and 4 images out of 4 is film. And it's crazy because I never told them anything. I didn't say, this is film and this is what I prefer. I just gave them all my edit, and that's it. But there's a quality to it that is really, yeah, I don't know, it's much better. I mean, it works for what I do, I guess. You know, as a documentary portrait person, it works. This is one of the last one as well. This is my son again. He's a lot more grown up. This is a very early picture. This is all shot film, apart from the second picture that we saw earlier. Oh, and this is the last project I shot. So these are the hot fit guys in Harlem. Yes, he was nice. Well, when you're a photographer, you can choose whatever subjects you want to shoot. That's the beauty of it, right? And so, I wanted to also talk to you about a project that I've been working on. I think I'm probably the most famous for that project. So it's called It's Just Love. So I'll show you the pictures. But I shot for 4 years on porn sets. So I followed a porn director around the world, in the States, in the UK, in Spain, in Portugal. And really what happened is that a year into photography, I felt that I needed to push my boundaries a little bit more. I said about shooting the familiar and shooting all the people I knew. And I don't know, I wanted to really explore a little bit more and really, yeah, push myself and see if I could explore different industries and be in situations where I would be a little bit uncomfortable. When you arrive on a porn set, when you've never seen anyone having sex in front of you, it is uncomfortable, I can tell you. So, the story happened that I really wanted to shoot people and nudity, and it was really hard to ask my friends to do that. So with my ex-agent, we had the idea to go to a swingers party. This was the first and last. And so we went there, and it was really interesting, actually. It was an eye-opener, but it's another subject. I've got 4 minutes. It was really eye-opener, because the human body is so beautiful. I was really impressed, and I was amazed, and I was thinking, oh my God, I really want to shoot this. I really wanted to have my camera, and I wanted to shoot the interaction and the human body. It was just gorgeous. And so as it was fate, that night, I met a porn director, and we had a chat. It was end of the night, and nothing happened, and really. And we had a chat, and he's a real geek, and so we were talking cameras and everything, and then he was like, oh, you want to come on one of my sets? Come, there's a shoot in 2 weeks in Stoke-on-Trent. I was like, okay, I'll come. I had no idea where Stoke-on-Trent was. I had no idea what he was doing. He could have been a real crazy director. It turns out that he was a real high-end porn director. He exists. It's more high-end. It's actually more beautiful. And so I went there with my cameras, and I just decided to go there. And it was, again, it's kind of the thing of I had not planned it, but I was thinking, I've got this amazing opportunity in front of me. I should just do it. Don't be scared about it. So I went there, and the project started like this. And so I carried on shooting for 4 years, and there's not many people who said it's amazing. There's a lot of people who wanted to hear the stories and to see the pictures, but not many people thought that the pictures were worth exhibiting. And I really wanted to do an exhibition with those pictures, because I thought that I had something else to tell, and I wanted to show a more human side to a story, and I wanted to show a more beautiful side to the porn. I think those images are really, they really capture the beauty in it. And, there's some images like this one that's got kind of like a painting quality to it, I think. And, they are, of course it's porn, but they are really beautiful. It's not what you usually see on a porn set. So, I went around and asked a lot of people and a lot of galleries and a lot of commissioners, and nobody really thought that the exhibition would be worth it. And then, as it turns out, I moved to Amsterdam, and I met the director of Unseen, the photo fair. I met the director of Unseen, and he was really keen on showing those pictures. And he said, I'm going to give you a space, and I'm going to give you money from the government, and we're going to show those pictures together. And you're not laughing at me, right? And so it was all going really well, and so I was going to exhibit during Unseen in September. And 8 weeks before the show, so pretty much right now, a year ago, 8 weeks before the show, the director of the festival said, you know what, you don't have money anymore, and you don't have a space. So, I can curate the exhibition if you want. You can be part of the program, the official program, but you're not going to have money, and you don't have a space. It's 8 weeks before the show, so I don't recommend you do it. And I was thinking, you know what? I don't want to do it in a year. I really want to do it now. It just felt like it was the time I wanted to do, and I don't know, I just could feel it. And so I just thought about, all the ideas, possible ideas where I could do it. And in the end, we had the idea to do it in my house. So I moved out completely. and I redecorated the space. And I worked with a set designer who used to work at Punch Drunk, and she was amazing. And we put curtain up, and we painted, put wallpaper up, and brought lots of different furniture and taxidermy. And I mean, the space was amazing. I wanted to keep it like this because it was just gorgeous. And you know, we put moving image. It was an entire experience. There was moving image, there was sound, so there was quotes from the actresses, things that you never see, well, you never hear them say, you know, things like, I love my job, I love sex, it's great, I get paid a lot of money to do what I do. And you know, things that were just really giving more experience than just the pictures, because the pictures are nice, but I really wanted to show a different side of the story, a human side of the story. And turns out the exhibition was really successful, and I think people really loved the fact that they could come to the photographer's house and hear all her stories, and they could see that I was not completely crazy, a little bit, and that, you know, I was just a normal person, and you know, it just showed a really beautiful, yeah, it was really beautiful. And it got picked up a lot, you know, by all the media internationally. Yeah, that's how I got those 10K. Who can check if I've got 10K now? Richard. So yeah, so it was beautiful. And again, I think it was, you know, I didn't take no for an answer. I just went for it, and I'm really glad I did because that was a success. So yeah, so I think a summary is just do what you think is right. Also for the exhibition, you know, it was right. It felt right because it was me. It was 100% financed by me. So I had to really make it well, make it really beautiful. So you know, you just go the extra mile to make it beautiful. So if you do really what you feel is right, you know, there's a good chance that somebody else will think that it's also right, and they're going to love your pictures, and they're going to give you work. You know, that's the summary.